Hey everybody! It's car day, so I changed the oil in the Mini and the brakes, and I was going to do the hubs on the front on the Mini Cooper, the front hubs, but it didn't need it, so I will save those till next time when I do the rotors. The F-250 doesn't need anything. I changed the oil like 1,000 miles ago, so it's good. But the Mini Cooper, man, I'm gonna do this next. So I bought it with the crease dent. And I will not be good at getting the crease out, so I'll have the paintless dent place do it. But I'll use WD-40 and like that magic eraser, Mr. Clean magic eraser for that. That takes all that stuff off. But the crease dent, I'm not even going to try it. I'll just pay them $100 to get that dent out. They know how to do it, and then it won't be there. But you can see it. It doesn't bother me. I thought it'd bother me, but I've had this thing a few months and doesn't really bother me. Anyway, was going to do a quick bus tour, which is the new dirt bike hauler. I may convert it to a little RV, kind of like the camper, but you can see it's got the kneeling in it, so it's an airbag. Let me show you underneath. It's an airbag rear suspension. So there's our air up when you crank it up, and it raises off the ground, which is kind of cool. Anyway, let me just walk you around it. You can see I got this one because it's got a back door, get a dirt bike in and out, but it's only like 30 inches wide. You know, the dirt bike handlebars are usually like 33. So, and it's like right at 52 inches at the top, but there's a excuse me, pneumatic assembly. So really effectively 50 inches, which is about right at the height of the KTM's. The electric one's shorter, but the bar width's about the same. So easy to get the bars through by wiggling it, but you know, that's going to add a little challenge to loading the bikes. But the rear door is really important. If you've ever loaded a dirt bike through the Handicap Lift, which I have, you'll know that it's really easy to get in there, but to make the corner, if you're not just pulling it in straight across, it's 8 feet across, and your dirt bike's going to be almost 8 feet, typically, right? So with the fenders, so if you're pulling it just straight in, you can get 2 in real easy on these lifts. But if you're trying to make the corner, it's a real pain after you get the first bike in there. So, but the lift's great for other stuff. It comes out like 5 feet, so you have to watch out, you know, where you are when you're using the lift. But you know, most of them come with this. You can do it inside too, and then you can use the controller. Always make sure that's off. That can drain your battery if that's not on or not off. Not much. Let me close this just a second. There we go. All right. Let's see. So then you have your doors. Interesting about most of the buses. Look at that dude. He's like, what's that dude doing with the bus? Dude, you should know by now. Anyway, most of the buses have this right here. So this emergency egress for the double folding doors. If you don't have your power on, you're not going to open this door unless you've already wired a remote switch, which I have a remote control coming, and then I'll just do the relays. But it'll be off its own. It'll be straight off the power source. So that I don't need the key in or anything. I'll be able to hit the key fob and it'll just open. And then there'll also be a manual switch for that. Anyway, with that detached, then you can just close these doors. So nobody knows, you know, you can just pull them open, but you know, you can just reach right in there and pull it right open. But you know, you only got one other door really. That you can get in and out, and it's a pain to come across there. So until the remote's here, I just had a couple drips from the drive. I drove 750 miles. 1 second. That dude's got the loudest motorcycle that ever goes down my street. It's amazing. Anyway, so I had a couple drips. That's just soap and water down there. Dawn soap works great. Yeah, so I drove 750 miles. I went and got it. We got it in Where'd we get it? Ohio? That seems right. Yeah, Ohio. And then checked it out for safety and then drove back. Needs a couple things, bushings. I'll change the oil and the filter just to do a test. I'll send the oil in. In case you ever look at these, this is a Max Force 7 engine, about the same as the Ford 6.4. So, you know, you got the EGR cooler, and then underneath you have a DPF filter. Those are the expensive things that break on these, and they also rob a lot of horsepower and mileage. It is illegal to delete your DPF and bypass your EGR. So if you're running a commercial looking vehicle like this, I wouldn't do it. Some people say, okay, I'm going to just leave the EGR there. I'm not going to do the bypass plates. I'll leave the EGR there and tune it out. And then instead of deleting the DPF filter, which is rather large, and let me walk around here, you can see it, then they will just core it out. So they'll take all that ceramic material out of the middle of it, and so you can't visibly tell that there's anything different. So you can just pull that. There's just 2 flanges, and it drops right down. It's real easy to pull out. But that stuff in the middle of it, you know, all that stuff that's accumulated, the soot and everything, it's all carcinogenic, and you would not want to breathe that in. So, you know, it's still illegal to core it out, even if nobody knows. But it will raise your mileage from about 11, which I got, pretty good, satisfactory to me, to like 17, 18. So it's a huge difference. But, you know, you'll be putting a little bit more of particulate matter in the air, a little bit more. Now I think those are good to like 35 ppm or 15 ppm. Anyway, it's ridiculously low, but it's ridiculously high if you take them out. You can almost double the horsepower and torque of these engines too, though, and they last longer because they run cooler. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits in taking it out. Who cares about your kids and grandkids living in a 120 degree heat in North America? Just do it. I'm kidding, don't do it, it's illegal. Anyway, so I'm going to add, let me step in here to the engine bay. So they make it so you can get to all these, you know, your oil filter and all that junk. There's a fuel water separator under these engines on the big ones. I don't know about the 6.4 Fords, but these have one underneath, like a 1360, I think they are. BL 1360, something like that, maybe. Yeah, I know it's a 1360 or 1390. So anyway, EGR coolers back there, you can see it. Really looks like this one may have been replaced at some point, which is a great idea. I don't have any maintenance records on this engine, but it runs really nice, and the exhaust system works very well. So I would assume something's been replaced, but the DPF underneath has not, and this engine has 204,000 miles on it. At about 200,000, you really need to replace the DPF. So, you know, I expect at any time I can get excessive regens, and then we'll have an issue. But having said that, I drove 750 miles and had no regens. So I will run a Diesel Extreme cleaner in the fuel. I will probably run 16 ounces to 40 gallons to do a clean, because I don't know what's been done in here. So, and that also helps lower the regens. It keeps your DPF cleaned out a bit more, and then I'll run a smaller amount in every tank just to keep it clean. Only other thing on this one is I did, now, you know, a grain of salt, right? So I'm fairly certain it was kind of level when we picked it up. So, and the coolant was about here. So it ate a tiny bit of coolant. I mean, that could be ounces. It can escape in a lot of places. That doesn't mean it went in the engine, but I'll be doing the oil analysis, so we'll find out. Definitely nothing in the coolant. There's no oil in the coolant, so that's really good. All in all, for 204,000 miles, I think the engine's running well, and they must have maintained it nicely. Does have a couple leaks. That's normal on these, just like, you know, those old 7.3s. Same thing with these. When they get a little older, you're going to get some drips. not too bad. If you decide you want to start it and then you change your mind, you've already pressurized some stuff. So yeah, things have nowhere to go. They're going to leak out. What else do you want to look at this? So 14-inch pink stripe. Nobody ever tells you, but these are not the standard 12-inch size stripes. So this is a 14-inch stripe. So if you want to just do an eBay vinyl stripe, you're kind of out of luck on the 14-inch unless you do like the 12-inch in the middle and then another like a 2-inch stripes on the bottom or something. I have not decided what I'll be doing, except that I'll be deleting the pink. So the pink is okay, but I want it to look more RV-ish instead of I don't know, whatever that is. Anyway, when you open the door on these, they'll give you the mileage. You don't have to do anything with a key. If you're considering buying a bus, there are some things you might want to know. Run it for a while, but your trans temp, if you're only going like 55 miles an hour, that should stay around 150. If you're going 65, it could go up in between like 165, something like that. Anyway, between those two marks. So you see the mark in between the 150 and the 200, assuming that's 175, maybe the middle between the 150 and that 175 mark. Water, your temps, I mean, you run 200 degree temps in this. You'd have to be really pushing it to get that over 200. If it's much over 200, you might be a little concerned. Idle PSI on these is like 25. Running PSI is 60. So somewhere in that range is going to be good for you. If it's cold and you're running some RPMs, you may get up in the 70, 80 range. Probably not more. If you get more than that, just check to make sure that you're not over full on the oil. RPMs here's one nobody else tells you either. On these International 3200 buses, if you have one of these type, there's lots of different kinds, lots of different rear ratios, but I have not checked to see which ratio I have, but I'm assuming it's a little bit higher gearing, just because at 2000 RPM I'm at 65 miles an hour, and that's really nice for cruising down the road. I mean, you're right in the sweet spot. So I like that. Also, you see this little yellow box up there that says exhaust filter. The left side will tell you if it'll have a little blowy icon, and you'll be like, oh no, what's that? It's just saying the exhaust is hot. That's all it means. It doesn't mean overly hot. It just means don't touch it. So you'll see that light if you're sitting in traffic, you stop, but as soon as you start going, it should go off. If it doesn't go off when you get going like 10-15 miles an hour and you've been going for a few seconds, you may have to check to see there's an issue. The right side of that would be the regen. So if it's doing passive or forced regen, park regen, then that icon should be on the right of that box. Haven't seen that one on this. At some point I'm sure I will. Miles per hour, I didn't get over 75 on my trip, and that was by accident. It was okay with 75, but and that was like 2300 RPM, but that's not where the bus likes. This bus really likes 60 miles an hour, and 65, it's like, okay, 65 is okay, but at 60, everything was super happy in the bus. So, grain of salt's my opinion. Fuel, it's 40-gallon tank. I got 11.5 miles per gallon on the trip. I went 750 miles, used 65 gallons. Pretty good, I would say. Your volts should be around 14, a little bit less when you're driving or when the engine's running. And your aux air is going to sit at about 120 psi. So you'll get a low air alarm until like, I don't know, this one is 65 maybe psi. But after the tank pressurizes, which runs your rear airbags and your parking brake, then the alarm will go off, and then it'll sit around 120. You'll hear it vent every once in a while. There's a auto vent valve on the tank, so you'll hear the tss. It's a little louder than that. You have there's a couple buttons you won't want to hit while driving, but there's some you'll need. This is the regular lights and parking lights and running lights right up there. This one I'm going to replace the headlights. They're old and they're kind of a little dim. This is panel lights here. I have not tried it. Limp mode. Then parked regen, and you can inhibit the regen. So if you for some reason need to not allow the regen, if it kicks in while you're driving, you can hit that on button and inhibit it. Again, I haven't tried that. And then your switches will all be different depending on the bus. But we have a rear AC in this one. I haven't tried it out yet. But it's massive and everything's tied in. Everything checked out good. But I have not tried the actual AC. This was a smoking bus, so they did smoke on it. So it's going to take me a week to get the smell out. I've Febrezed the seats, which most of them will come out. But they're not out yet. Febrezed them, and then I run a little watermelon stuff. You can see some of it over there. That type of stuff. I put it in the windows so it warms up and melts, melty wax. But I'll do an ozone treatment on this. The ozone will just take out all the smells. Unfortunately, also the ozone treatment, if you run it for too long, you'll destroy some of the synthetic fibers and stuff. So you don't want to do that. Wires and stuff like that. It will just destroy everything. Don't run it too long. What's too long? Well, you have to figure that out. And then these, I don't know what this is. Really no clue. Haven't looked it up. Maybe that's park idle timers or something. Kind of looks like that, but I haven't messed around with it. This is for the mirrors. These are all power mirrors. So that mirror there and this mirror here, these are all power. Both the top part of the mirror and the bottom part of the mirror. So that's really cool for adjusting. You got your regular bouncy visor stuff in here, and then driver fan. There's a little switch on the dash for driver fan. And then this right here, these all have some type of compartments in the front. So I don't know if you can see in there, it's pretty good. I mean, that's a 1.5 feet, maybe 20 inches deep. So you can fit a lot of stuff in there. You know, it's right on top of the cab, so you put clothes and I don't know, whatever you'd want to put in there. The inside of the lift, if you pick up a bus, these bring your Gorilla Tape and some rags so that after you drive 5 miles, you'll be like, oh yeah, I need to tape the things that bang on here, because when you hit a bump, all these will bang. This one's always loose on all of them. Those will always bang. So if you're not taking it out, you're going to want to spice it up a bit, or